in the Naked Coach Collective podcast.
It tends to go on that, doesn't it?
It was good.
It does tend to go on. When I was editing all the little launch episodes, I got so sick and tired of hearing it, honestly. Drove me
It's
insane.
your podcast. You should love it. Not be
it's
tired
my
of hearing
podcast.
it.
Yeah, it's awful. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Naked Coach Collective. We got myself, Ian. The ladies have taken a night off, but I'm being joined by Karl Sandland. Hello, Karl.
Hello, Ian. Hello, everybody.
How are you doing? You okay?
Yeah, really good, mate. Really good, mate. Thanks, and thanks for having me on. It's super exciting to see how far the podcast has travelled over the last few months, and yeah, so bit of an honour to be invited on. So thanks, mate.
So you listen then?
Yeah, of course I do. I'm not going to say when I say no, I don't. Never listen to it at all.
No,
of course
absolutely
I do.
not. Absolutely
Of course
not.
I do. No, I do, genuinely.
All right, good.
And yeah, it makes a change for it to be a lad's night in, doesn't it, rather than a ladies' night or a bit of a
They get a bit
mix.
tiring, don't they?
Well, it sort of goes off in all sorts of directions, doesn't it?
Yeah, I would say don't tell them I said that, but they're obviously going to hear it now.
They're going to see it
Anyway.
and hear it.
Anyway, Karl, why don't you tell us a little about yourself?
Ooh, I will do. So I am a coach, and I haven't always been a coach. So I started off in the corporate world and did quite well in the corporate world. And then it got to COVID, and I was sitting on the board of directors at the time, and the CEO announced that, we needed to cut 2/3 of our departments. And amongst many other decisions leading up to that I wasn't overly happy with and bought into, obviously that was quite a big life-changing moment where I'm thinking, well, hang on a minute, I've spent all my career getting to this stage where I want to empower people, help people, coach people in the position I was in and build a successful business. And then all of a sudden I'm having to ruin people's lives, not long after Christmas. So that really for me was it. That was it. I was done then, left that role. And in the meantime, I've done a couple of other things, but that then sort of sparked off the interest of setting my own business up. So set my own business up initially as a customer experience consultancy, which was doing okay. I then started doing some mentoring, volunteer mentoring, and realized just how much fun it was to continue to help and guide others and help them find their path. And, that joy that you'll know now as a coach you get when you see someone have a bit of a light bulb moment. I was having those with my mentees and thinking, this is amazing. If I could do this rather than a job, this is exactly what I'd want to do. And that's then when really I turned to coaching and thought, hang on a minute, that's exactly what I could do. And I could build a successful business out of that. So long story short, got involved with doing accreditations, various coaching organizations. And the last sort of like 2-3 years is history as a coach in my own business, which is fantastic fun. Slight pivot as well, a little bit of a pivot last year. So managed to finally take the jump and stop, having a foot in both camps, if you like, coaching on the side and having a 9-to-5 job as well. And that finished. So yeah, I'm now 100% in my own coaching business, not working for anybody else ever again. Not that I think anyone would ever want me now, to be honest. I've got so used to saying no and doing what I want to do. So I'm probably unemployable now. But yeah, loving it. And it's great fun.
Excellent. Great story, Karl. It's a great story to hear. There's so many people you talk to that give up just that bit too soon before they reach that moment where it all kind of comes together. So how did you, going back a step, how did you find coaching then from the mentoring role that you were doing?
Well, I came to learn that it was quite a different discipline, but then I've actually sort of merged the two together again now in my coaching style. So yeah, I mean, mentoring traditionally is very much based on the experience that you've had, and you are almost showing someone the way, teaching them the best practices, the frameworks, and guiding them on their journey when they don't really know. Whereas obviously coaching, traditional style coaching is not that at all. It's not telling. It's helping them discover, right? But then it's almost like the two worlds for me have met again now, because I'm working with a lot of clients now who do actually need that extra help from the expertise that I have in certain areas I coach in. So it's almost now like a blended role. And I think that sort of makes you all the more powerful, really, as a coach. And I think it's an important point anyway. Any coach should always have a lot of congruency and experience in the thing they're coaching in, which is one of my pet hates when you come across a coach who hasn't. Anyway, we'll leave that till later. So yeah, it felt to me like a bit of a natural transition, and then sort of came full circle where I was able to blend the two together. So for me, it worked really well. And at the end of the day, the joy that you get from it, those highlight moments, the fun of seeing somebody dramatically change or learn something new or put something in place pretty life-changing for them. I mean, that's why we do what we do, right? So that's always been the same through mentoring and coaching.
Excellent. So tell us a little bit about your journey then as a coach so far.
Ooh, what, the ups, the downs, everywhere in between?
It's Naked Coach Collective. Bear it all.
Well, once upon a time, there was an old man who thought, no. So early doors, I sort of set off on the journey of doing the accreditation, which, as a lot of coaches will, they'll get accredited. And I was quite fortunate. I was already speaking to a few people anyway because of what I was doing in mentoring, and a few people had approached me about coaching them. So I managed to land 2 sort of high ticket coaching agreements. I think it was in about week 8 or 9 of my accreditation of 12. So I was still training and managed to get a couple of clients. And when I think back now, I think that was the worst thing in the world that happened to me. Because at the time it was great. It was like, oh my God, stroking my ego. And I thought, Jesus, this is easy. This is everything that the coaching industry says it is. It's dead easy to get clients. And it's dead easy to transform lives. But then following that, it was about 4, maybe 5 months of tumbleweed. Absolutely nothing that I tried whatsoever was in any way getting me any closer to having my 3rd or 4th or 5th client. So for me, I personally think that there's 2 things to learn from that. One is that there's a lot of hype out there about how easy it is to coach, and yeah, if you're using coaching frameworks, most people can quite easily coach. It's a skill to be taught and to learn, and you can coach. But there is a hell of a difference between being able to coach and running a successful business where coaching is the product and service that you sell. And I don't think the industry makes that very clear. And I don't think I also don't think that a lot of these training companies, accreditation companies, make it very clear how much it's going to cost you either to actually do everything. I mean, without making people sort of like eyeballs roll and stuff. I mean, I must have invested about 40, maybe even 50K in the last couple of years on accreditations, training programs, my own coaches, running ads. It's a silly amount of money when I now think back. And if I'd have known that right at the start, it would definitely have made me question, is this really something that I am going to go into this level on? But by the time you've gone down that road, you're pretty much committed. But anyway, so that's I guess that's some of the bad. That's some of the things that to watch out for. However, look, it is an amazing thing to do. You meet some amazing people, and once you manage to get, I guess, your marketing right, and once you manage to get a message right that's working, and you're serving people and attracting the right people that you genuinely want to work with, rather than just working with people because you think, shit, I need the money. When you're genuinely selective over who you work with, that's really when it massively changes. And that's sort of where I am now. But I mean, if you'd have asked me 6 months ago, I was probably still in that whole, God, is it really 100% working for me at the moment? Am I doing the right thing? I probably still would have questioned it. But, looking now where I am, it's like, yeah, it's the right journey to go on. But in summary, it's nothing like everybody leads you to believe. It is nowhere near as easy as everybody leads you to believe it's going to be. It is I mean, there's a reason why the statistics show that 96% of coaches don't make it. They give up. They go back to the job. 4% do make it, and of that 4%, there's only 1% who actually have a really decent amount of lifestyle from it. The other 3% are the ones that make it, probably just about cover the bills, or they just about cover their salary that they were on if they're on a reasonably high salary. So that puts a little bit different spin on than the whole hype of become a coach and earn $1 million, which it is not.
No, it's not. But thank you for that. That's really good. And it's interesting you say at the beginning there that, because I remember, for those that don't know, myself and Karl know each other from accreditation on the Coaching Masters, which we've talked about previously. And I remember sitting in one of those accreditation calls and Karl actually saying, I've just signed a client and everything, and I'm sat there thinking, oh, bastard.
I was just going to say, you're thinking bastard. I'm going to see what he says now. Because I know what he was thinking.
Not, oh, what an inspiration. Bastard. I was so jealous, but there was honestly a part of me that was like, this is doable. Seeing someone else who was at the same, well, you were ahead of me at that time because, like you say, you'd already been kind of working in the mentoring / coaching side of it before you got into the coaching, and I hadn't done anything. So it was nice to see someone who's just maybe one step ahead getting those clients. So it was kind of an inspiration after I got over the bastard, why haven't I got a client?
If I'd have known, I wouldn't have even come on if I'd have known you were calling me about it in your head. You bastard.
You bastard. Sorry, my mum listens to this. I really shouldn't swear. I don't like swearing in front of my mum.
Sorry. Well, I didn't make you swear. You made yourself swear.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. So we were kind of touching on then some of the elements of what you don't like about the coaching industry. So let's just touch on some of that, but obviously not too much because we like to be positive. So we'll get into the good aspects of coaching. But if you're all right, just to kind of touch on some of the bad elements of coaching that you've seen, and I think we kind of just hit one of the main ones on the head there.
Yeah, I think one of the main ones I've already suggested. I think one of the other thing. Well, there's two other main ones that I think get my goat a little bit. One is there's a lot of organisations out there that provide training, offer training, as we know. We've been with one of sort of said companies, and there's many that do. And I just feel sometimes that those companies, I mean, obviously they're set up to make money. That's why people have businesses. But then I look at some of the people that go through or have come through and are now in the marketplace and really do need some help on setting their business up, and realize just how they're actually just not prepared for it at all. And I think, again, with my background and being, in the positions I was in prior to that, I sort of knew what it would be like to run a business. You know what I mean? I'd already come across a lot of those disciplines and those behaviors anyway from being senior. But I think there's a lot of people who just aren't aware of what that's like. And I think that's a shame. I think it's a little bit of a dark side of some of these companies that are, I guess, prepared to take people in and sell the product to them without really enough due diligence to work out whether this person is going to be able to take advantage of that product that they bought. But on the positive side of it, I've sort of taken that and looked at that, and that's one of the reasons why I become very selective with the clients that I then take on. Because if I don't think that they're action takers, or I don't think they've got enough resilience to weather the storm of setting a business up, then I'll give them some free advice. I'll give them a free strategy session, but I'm probably not going to take them on as a client because I don't want to give them false hope when I actually think, some of the problems probably their ability to get where they need to get. That sounded very judgmental when I just heard that back in my head. Do you see what I mean, though? It's
no, I know what you mean, yeah.
Yeah, so it's that. I think that's one of the things that I see. Because, I mean, let's face it. I mean, the market is flooded with new coaches at the moment. There's a coach for this, a coach for that. Young people, old people. I mean, it's so diverse nowadays. It's becoming very saturated. But it feels like it's harder to find, decent coaches than it is to find the number of coaches that are there, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a place for, like you say, knowing when not to take a client on,
Yeah.
because you're not there just to kind of take money off them and then help them along, but at the end of the day say, well, you didn't follow up, did you? It's about taking on the right people. It's about taking on the right people and making sure that, yes, they're investing a lot of money in whatever it is coaching that they're getting, but you know that they're the kind of person who's going to follow through and get benefit from it.
Yeah, I mean, in the financial industry, you've got the Financial Conduct Authority. You know, they make sure there's due diligence in place, and they make sure that people aren't just selling products that are unfair and putting people in financial difficulty. Well, where's that in the coaching industry? Because it does feel like it's needed. I think there are a lot of people who will invest probably more than they can afford, and not hope that this dream that has been shown to them and it's achievable. And I think for some it's not, unfortunately.
Yeah. So flipping that then, what's the kind of positives of the coaching industry in your eyes?
There are none, Ian. It's all shit. What are you on about? I wasn't I was signing up for this.
Mess.
It's a mess. I'd say the positives are, out of all of the different industries I've worked in, I would say the coaching industry is probably the most giving, most supportive, and I guess inspiring and motivational, all wrapped into one. You know, there's a lot of us coaches like you and I who sort of went through accreditations at the same time, and the amount of coaches that I'm still in touch with, and the amount of coaches that I still engage with now regularly, and we advise each other for free and test stuff out on each other. It's as if there's no competition at all, and strictly speaking, there's not. We've all got our own little focus areas of clients. But again, working in different industries, I've never seen it to that level where there's just, you know, it's fully supportive. Everybody's in it together. Everybody's happy for each other, apart from the odd guy who calls somebody else a bastard when they get a client. Of course, there's still those people around.
He has his podcast.
Still them people around, unfortunately. But no, I think it's just such a supportive. It really is. It is a community. Being a coach and being part of a couple of different coaching groups and communities, it really probably is the best embodiment of community I've ever seen in anything, to be honest.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I wouldn't have set up this podcast with B, Sarah, and D if it wasn't for being part of that coaching community. And it's such a good community of people to work with. I mean, I was part of a kind of mastermind group as well, of other coaches, and we all still stay in touch, and help each other out as well. It's really good. It is really good. So Karl, tell us what you're doing now. How do you help people now?
So how do I help? Well, without just reading off my I help statement, because that drives me nuts when people do that. In essence, I help people, or I help coaches who believe that the tech stuff is either frying the brain, or they've got it and they can't use it properly, or if they think they need it and they don't know how to use it. So any sort of worries about the technical software aspect of setting up as a coach, that's where I help my clients. The reality is that a lot of the time it's the strategy that they need before they should be worrying about the technical stuff. But then I have a strategy to help them with client attraction and all of that sort of stuff as well. So am I a business coach? Am I a mindset coach? Am I a growth coach? I'm just a coach who helps people.
Just a coach. I want to help people
get their shit done and get their shit in place to get organized. I mean, like you, I'm from a strong project management background, so this is sort of what we do, isn't it? We organize chaos and put some sort of structure around it, so there's a roadmap for where you need to go.
Chaos now.
Structured chaos. So you cut out 20 points of chaos, so there's still only 10 points of chaos left.
Yeah.
I help them primarily with getting the technical stuff set up. So the software platforms, funnels, contact lists, all of that good stuff in place. But as I say, the key thing that I always preach with in my marketing and my clients is that, well, actually, we need your strategy in place first. So what are you doing to have a robust strategy to actually get enough leads and clients in to even have to worry about having your tech stuff sorted? So yeah, so that's what I'm doing at the moment, and it's good fun because I've got like 25 years plus in tech stuff, so it just felt like the natural place to go after a while.
Nice. I'm gonna be honest, Carl. I wish you'd have started this probably about a year and a half ago after I finished the accreditation,
Sorry.
because honestly, I was getting so overwhelmed with all the different things everyone was saying you have to have, like all the emails, and it's just so overwhelming. So, 20 coaches out there that are in that situation that I was in, where you're just looking and you see people saying you need this and you need that and you need this and you need that, this, that, and this. Yeah, have a chat with Karl, because honestly, it can get overwhelming. So to have someone able to see the bigger picture and help you before you even understand that you need all that kind of stuff is invaluable. And I wish I had that when I was first starting out, because I was like, yeah, I'll get that, and the money you burn through.
Oh, it's great. I mean, I did the same. I mean, this is the embarrassing bit for me to admit now, and I'm being vulnerable. So I get called a bastard, and then I'm vulnerable in front of everybody as well. So I mean, I made the same mistake. I'm from a tech background, and yet I still did the same. I still subscribed to all the bells and whistles systems, Kajabi and this, that, and the other. At one stage, I was looking at it thinking, well, I'm going to have to land another client this month because all my bills of about £500 for all the software tech this month are due in the next couple of days. And then I thought, geez, this is mad. This is absolutely mad. So it's only having made those mistakes myself and listening to advice myself just on needing, Kajabi, ClickFunnels, ActiveCampaign, and all these things, and then trying to wire them together. It's like, it's nuts. At the end of the day, unless you've got a huge flow of leads and clients coming in, you don't need anything. You just need Zoom. You need Zoom, and you need some way of scheduling some calls with people. Worry about the software tech once you've actually got some clients coming in who then their revenue will pay for.
Yeah. And isn't Zoom free as well?
It's free up to 40 minutes.
40 minutes. Right, okay.
So yeah, so that'd be okay for like a discovery call strategy session. If you're then wanting to deliver coaching sessions, I mean, most of them are like 60 minutes or 90 minutes, aren't they? So I worked at, and in fact I did a live training on it recently, and basically outlined all the things that you could get away with having as a minimum for now. And until you're a coach sort of earning like $2-3 grand, you could probably get away with about £18 a month, working out the bits that you needed to spend.
Wow.
And yeah, I was spending like £500 a month plus for a couple of years before I actually realized that. So yeah, everybody learn from my mistakes. Learn from a tech guy who's saying don't get tech. How ironic is that?
Yeah, I think I get shiny object syndrome. I'm like, ooh, okay.
Yeah, I do. Especially if it's
very easily distracted by something fancy and new. It's like at the minute, I'm constantly seeing all these AI things, and I'm like, ooh, okay, what's that? Have this AI strategy, and I'm looking at them all going, oh, yeah, okay. And then I'm like, oh, God, there's too many AI strategies.
You can get the AI plugin for the system you use, don't you?
I didn't know that, no.
Oh, there you go. There's something to look for on your dashboard later then. There you go. It costs. Of course, everything costs.
Of course
you can get an AI plugin for it. I don't know how good it is or what it does. I've not bought it myself, but yeah, you can. It's everywhere nowadays.
Another shiny object for me to have a look at.
Oh God! In fact, sorry, while you're talking here, you've set the cat amongst the pigeons now, mate. Jesus, AI. Oh, I wish. I mean, I get it, right? Not everybody's a brilliant content writer. I absolutely get that. Okay, but you're never going to get better if you don't actually try and learn and tweak and fail. But what I can't abide, and it's so obvious, and yet people think they mask it so well, is when people create content with AI and they are literally just obviously asking it to write it from scratch themselves. And it's like, oh, what
you've been reading my content?
Yeah, you bastard. It's okay to use. I mean, look, I in my program, I do suggest that people do use it for idea creation. And I've got a particular instruction that I give to my clients that says, right, write your post first of all as a draft, and then use this instruction, and it will put it into the right framework. It will create the hook and stuff based on everything you've written. It will still sound like you. That's a good use of AI. But just saying, ChatGPT, please write me a post on XYZ. It's like, that's not going to cut it. But that drives me nuts as well, seeing really, really bad content out there. Not yours, Ian. Yours is fine. I've not even looked at it, not read it.
To be honest, I barely post anything. I really do not like it. It drives me insane. If I could afford to pay someone to do it for me, I would, because I just do not like it.
Oh, you've got to embrace it. You've got to enjoy it.
I know. It is obviously a very good tool for business as well. So I'm not knocking it from that side. It's just one of my things. I really just don't like it. I've probably got some issues and could do some coaching around it.
Don't look at me. Jeez. Well, about 4 years. I think it was about 4 years ago, actually. Yeah, it was about 4 years ago. I always tell the story to my clients as well, who are worried about, putting the face on their content and stuff like this. And it's like, well, look, I'm a really strong introvert. And 4 years ago, I wouldn't even be in family photos. I'd be the person taking the photo, because I couldn't even be in family photos. I would hate it. So no photos, no video, nothing like that. I was never on social media. But the way you get past it is to do it, isn't it? And to tell yourself that, well, actually, I don't give a shit what people think, which is a very strong direction to come from as well. So yeah, if you're not liking content, mate, there might be some reason behind it, and
probably
let you stay. You might need a coach.
Yeah, should look around. So what's one bit of advice you could give to newbie coaches?
Only one. Oh.
We don't know over well.
Can I do like a double barrel?
You'll take all our ideas for the rest of the episodes.
Okay. Let me go with
stretch this out.
I'll go with one, but it's a double barrel. I'm allowed a double barrel.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's a triple barrel. Ignore tech to start off with. That's a prerequisite of the advice I'm going to give, right? So that's not a bit of advice. Ignore tech to start off with. You need to play about with being really congruent with who you want to help and what you want to help them in. You need to have experience in it. You need to live and breathe it. You want to be attached to it, emotional about it. And then you need to work on your messaging. Because if you don't get that right, and you're using any form of marketing, I'm not just talking about social media marketing, if you're doing any marketing, whether it's placing ads, putting stuff on a website, putting stuff in magazines, journals, stuff you talk about on podcasts, if you don't get that right to start off with and test that out in the market and check it's working, you're just going to take a lot longer. And nobody can do that work for you. That's one of those things you've just got to, you can get help with, but you've got to figure it out. No one can tell you how to feel about something. It has to be emotively connected to the sort of clients that you want to get. So it really is. And I know everyone says, oh, it's all about your niche. So that's like one bit of advice. And it is all about you understanding who you want to work with. But what it is not, and I have heard this said before, and this is like the second tip. Where am I up to? Is that 5 or 6? I don't know.
I don't know. I was going to say this is a lot more than 3.
Don't get me on back for you calling me a bastard.
You're not going to let that go, You're not going to let that go.
No,
it came from a good place.
Well, so is this advice. So,
right.
And the second bit is as well, it sort of links to the first bit. There are certain people out there or organizations that would lead you to believe any coach can coach in anything. Just pick something you want to coach it and go and coach in it. And I would strongly advise against that, because if you're not emotionally connected to it and they're not your sort of people that you'd want to work with, you're just never really going to feel at one with it. It's got to be something that you enjoy, the people that you like to work with, the transformations they get. You should be just as happy as them and not thinking about the money that it's bringing in. It really is all about the fulfillment of the transformation. And when you can get to that stage, your marketing, your posts, everything just flows out of you. People could call you onto a podcast or ask you to do an interview or ask you to stand up on stage, and you can just talk about that shit with no preparation because it's part of you. Whereas if you pick a niche that is nothing really to do with you and it's just one of these things you think will make some money, and I think that's where a lot of coaches fail with that if they take that advice. So don't do that, guys.
I think you've got one more. I think that was 2 in the main.
Oh, I've got to find another one.
You don't have to.
Well, I'm going to find one now. I mean, I've got to get money's worth.
Let's have to try.
The other thing
You
really
get paid.
Oh, God. Have you not seen the new version of the contract?
Did I just sign it willy-nilly?
You must have done. You must have done. See what happens when the women aren't here to keep you under control.
I know.
So I don't need it. No. The other piece really, again, is, I guess, going back to tech. I can't stress long and hard enough, and take it from somebody who's done it, made the mistakes, comes from a tech background, got a successful coaching business. Take it from me, when you start off as a coach, you do not need to start obsessing over your logo. You do not need to get a website set up. You don't need a load of expensive software like me and Ian did. Trust us. It is a complete waste of money if you haven't concentrated on getting your messaging right and understand who you want to serve and why, and you're emotionally connected to that. Because you'll buy all of that stuff, and then you'll be getting monthly bills for all of that stuff, whilst you figure out the rest of the stuff that is actually going to potentially bring clients in. So I think it makes sense to have minimal tech in place, work out your strategy, and then get clients who are then going to pay for the tech that you need. And I'll just leave that thought to simmer and boil away with a few people. But yeah, don't obsess over your logo. Don't obsess over tech. It's strategy first. Ultimately, software is designed to automate tasks that are repetitive and you become overwhelmed with them, and that to help businesses and processes scale. That's what software is designed for, not for ego, not for pride, not to have there before you need it. So implement it, but implement it at the right time.
Perfect. Great advice. Thank you, Karl. Now, how can people reach out to you? Where can they find you?
Well, a few places. I mean, I've got a website, which is Sandland, my name, .net. Facebook's probably the easiest place. That's where I tend to hang out. I am on most of the socials. If you just search for Karl with a K, Sandland. I'm on all of the socials, but Facebook is probably where I hang out the most. So that's coach.karlsandland. That's where I hang out. That's where a lot of my following is, and that's where a lot of my content goes out, and my groups are and everything. So probably best for me to contact me there.
Excellent. And finally, is there anything you're doing now that might be of interest to the audience?
Yeah. I mean, I've got a Facebook group, which is a completely free Facebook group. And in there, I share completely different content than I do on my profile. So it's a bit of an elite group, because in there, you'll get all my lives, all my live trainings, not everything that I share with my clients as well, but I regularly run each week a training event. So for example, last week I ran a 1 hour live, everything coaches need to know about funnels training. Week before that, it was about creating a customer portal in Notion. So I just treat that as my platform to play about with content and to educate coaches on various options they've got available to them. So yeah, swing by the Facebook group. It's a really good value-based place that you can learn for free, and a lot of stuff that normally businesses would charge you for, and I don't. So feel free to dip in.
Yeah, and what's the name of the group?
If people search for Tech Shit Sorted, but instead, yeah, so TECHSH*T Sorted. So if people search for Tech Shit Sorted, then it'll stick out like a sore thumb at a wedding, and people can then join and get access to various learnings, training. And there's some really good people in there as well. It pretty much is coaches only in there, so it is for coaches. And it's a supportive group. There's some great coaches in there, and there's some fantastic learnings in there. I wish this sort of free resource had been around when I'd started off, because then it would have saved me at least £500 a month on doing stupid things.
You're just too late, Karl.
I know.
I did it 1.5 years ago. And I can actually say, as a member of the group as well, that the value offered in there, what you get for free, is amazing. So yes, please go over and check it out.
Cheers, mate.
And you'll see our links in the show notes. We'll add them in the show notes for everybody.
I didn't realise I'd let you into the group, because I was normally quite selective.
Kind of a mistake.
It's never normally people that have called me a bastard. That's one of my criteria. You know, when your Facebook questions, your Facebook group questions, are you this, are you that? Have you ever called me a bastard? It's one I'll add on, I think.
Am I going to try and log on later and find out that I've been kicked out?
I mean, you can try. I don't know. We'll see. But no, I appreciate your kind words on it, mate. Thank you.
No worries. All right, Karl. Good stuff. Anything else before we call it a close?
No, it's been great to come on and chat. I love these sorts of chats, and it does feel like a bit of a lads' night in and a bit of a chat. I mean, I don't know where the beers are, but next time maybe.
Yeah.
But no, it's been great. And thanks for letting me have a forum to share my thoughts and views, however controversial they may seem to others. But look, trust me, guys. After doing it and struggling for a while and coming from a place of thinking, should I give up? No, I'm going to carry on. And then almost seeing the light at the end of the tunnel and getting through it, there is a way. Just resilience, keep testing and tweaking, trying different things. So yeah, if this in some way helps motivate others to carry on who are at that wobbly stage, then just keep going. But get advice. Speak to the right people who can get you there on the strategy that you need.
Excellent. Thank you, Karl. And so that wraps up this episode. Our next episode is going to be on growth mindset. So tune in for that. And that's a wrap. Thank you, Karl.
Cheers, buddy. It's been a pleasure. Really
Cheers.
enjoyed it. Thanks, mate.